The neutral moon of Varus IV had never seen so many ships. They filled the black sky like metal stars, thousands of vessels from hundreds of worlds, all gathered for one reason. Today marked 900 years since humans and the Galactic Empire signed the peace treaty. 900 years without major war. 900 years of cooperation. General Una Bake stood at the window of her shuttle, watching the ships pass by. She was 67 years old, with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and deep lines around her eyes. Those eyes had seen much in her lifetime. She had fought in the border skirmishes 40 years ago. She had buried friends. She had signed papers that ended small conflicts before they became big ones. Now she was the supreme commander of the United Terran Defense Force, the highest military position any human could hold. But today, she was not here as a soldier. She was here as a symbol of peace. "General," said Captain Do-hun Shin, her aide, stepping beside her. He was a young man, only 32, with sharp features and serious eyes. He had served under Una for 6 years. "We will land in 10 minutes. Una nodded slowly. "How many cameras down there?" "Over 5,000, Do-hun replied. "Broadcasting to 10,000 worlds. Maybe more." "Good," Una said. "Let them all see. Let them remember why we chose peace." The shuttle descended through the thin atmosphere of Varus IV. Below, the ceremony grounds spread out like a silver flower. Towers and stages had been built for this day. Flags from every member world of the Galactic Empire flew in the artificial wind, and at the center stood the memorial stone, a massive black rock carved with the names of all who died in the Old War. Una had read those names many times. Human names, alien names, so many names. The shuttle landed softly. The doors opened, and Una stepped out into the bright lights. Cameras floated around her like insects, capturing every angle. Crowds of aliens watched from behind barriers. Some cheered, some stayed silent, some looked at her with eyes she could not read. Una walked forward, her boots clicking on the metal floor. Do-hun stayed 2 steps behind her. As always, around them, soldiers from both human and Vrithani forces stood at attention. The Vrithani were tall, insect-like creatures with hard shells and 4 arms. Their eyes were black and endless, like holes in space. At the main stage, the Vrithani delegation waited. Their leader was High Minister Torvax, an old Vrithani with a cracked shell and slow movements. Beside him stood Admiral Crix, younger and stronger, with bright red markings on his chest plate. Crix was famous across the Empire. He had written papers arguing that humans were weak, that the peace treaty was a mistake, that the Vrithani should have conquered Earth long ago. Una had read those papers too. She did not let her face show what she thought of them. "General Una Bake," High Minister Torvax spoke, his voice clicking and buzzing through a translator device. "Welcome to Varus IV. Today we celebrate 900 years of friendship between our peoples." Una bowed her head slightly. "High Minister, the people of Earth are honored to be here. We remember the sacrifices of the past. We look forward to the peace of the future." The ceremony began, speeches were given, history was recited, both sides spoke of cooperation, of trade, of shared progress. Una gave her own speech, words she had practiced many times. She spoke of her hope for the next 900 years. She spoke of children on both worlds who had never known war. But as she spoke, she noticed Admiral Crix watching her. His black eyes never blinked. His 4 hands stayed folded in front of him. Something cold lived in that gaze. Something hungry. Una finished her speech. The crowd applauded. She stepped back from the podium and turned to shake hands with the Vrithani leaders. This was tradition. This was the symbol of peace. High Minister Torvax extended one of his hands. Una took it. The cameras captured the moment. Then Admiral Crix stepped forward. "General Una Bake," he said, his translator making his voice sound almost pleasant. "I have something to say to you. To all humans." Una looked at him. "Yes, Admiral?" Crix moved fast, faster than an old soldier should have to react. He pulled a plasma pistol from beneath his ceremonial robe and pressed it against Yuna's chest. "This," Crix announced to the cameras, "is what we think of your piece." He fired. The plasma round burned through Yuna's chest and out her back. She felt heat, then cold, then nothing at all. Her body started to fall. Do-hun caught her. He dropped to his knees, holding his general, his mentor, his friend. Blood spread across his hands. The white floor turned red. "General!" Do-hun screamed. "General, stay with me!" Yuna's eyes were still open. She looked up at Do-hun. Her mouth moved slowly. "Tell them," she whispered. "Tell them. We remember." Then the light left her eyes. Chaos erupted. Human soldiers drew their weapons. Vrithani guards surrounded Crix. But they did not arrest him. They protected him. High Minister Torvax stood frozen, his translator clicking uselessly. Crix looked directly into the nearest camera. His mouthparts twisted into what might have been a smile. "For 900 years, humans have pretended to be our equals," he said. "They are not. They are livestock that learned to speak. This woman was their greatest soldier, and she died like an animal. Let this be a message to Earth. You exist because we allow it. Remember your place." The broadcast continued. 10,000 worlds watched. Billions of beings saw General Yuna Bek die on the cold floor of Varus 4. On Earth, people stopped in the streets. They gathered around screens. They watched in silence as their beloved general was murdered in front of the galaxy. Then something strange happened. Earth went quiet. No angry messages were sent. No demands for justice. No threats of war. The communication channels that connected Earth to the rest of the galaxy simply stopped. The Vrithani waited for human outrage. They expected protests, economic sanctions, maybe harsh words from politicians. Instead, they received nothing. High Minister Torvax sent messages asking for dialogue. No reply came. Admiral Crix laughed on the news broadcasts. He called humans cowards. He said they were too afraid to even respond. The Vrithani public celebrated. They threw parties in Crix's honor. They made jokes about weak humans hiding on their little blue planet, but some of the older Vrithani did not laugh. Some of them remembered stories their grandparents had told. Stories about what happened 900 years ago. Stories about why the first Vrithani emperor signed that treaty. He did not sign it because he was generous. He signed it because he was afraid. And now, as Earth sat in silence, some of those old Vrithani felt something they had not felt in centuries. They felt that fear again. On Varus 4, Do-hun still held his general's body. His hands were covered in her blood. His eyes were empty. A young human soldier approached him carefully. "Captain Shin, we need to move. We need to get back to Earth." Do-hun did not respond at first. Then, slowly, he looked up. "She told me to tell them something," he said quietly. "Tell who, sir?" Do-hun stood up, still holding Yuna's body. His voice was calm. Too calm. "Everyone. She said to tell them we remember." He carried his general toward the shuttle. The cameras watched him go. The galaxy saw a man walking through blood, holding a dead hero. His face showing no tears, no rage, no fear, just patience. The kind of patience that comes before something terrible. 72 hours passed. Earth remained silent. President Taemin Go sat at the head of a long table in a room buried deep beneath the capital city. This room did not exist on any map. Its walls were thick enough to survive a nuclear blast. Its doors had not opened in over 200 years. Around him sat the Emergency War Council, 12 people. The most powerful humans alive. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were tired. None of them had slept since General Yuna died. "The Vrithani are mocking us," said Admiral Byung-ho Park, the head of the space fleet. His voice was rough. "Every hour, they broadcast that video. They show our general dying. They laugh at us." "Let them laugh," President Taemin said quietly. "Sir, with respect, we need to respond. The public is demanding action. Our colonies are asking what we plan to do." "What we plan to do," Taman repeated. He stood up slowly and walked to the far wall. There, covered by a thick curtain, was something none of the younger council members had ever seen. Tell me, Admiral, what do you know about the First War? Admiral Byung-ho frowned. The First War? That was 900 years ago. The Vrithani attacked our outer colonies. We fought back. Eventually, both sides realized the cost was too high, so we signed the peace treaty. That is what the schools teach, Taman said. That is what we wanted the galaxy to believe. He pulled the curtain aside. Behind it was a painting. An old painting, cracked with age. It showed a Vrithani emperor, not Torvax but someone far older, kneeling on the floor of a burning palace. Standing over him was a human woman in black armor, holding a sword. The truth, Taman continued, is that we did not sign the treaty because the war was equal. We signed it because we won. Completely. Absolutely. The first Vrithani emperor did not negotiate with us, he begged. The room was silent. 900 years ago, the Vrithani attacked Earth. They thought we were weak. They thought we were easy prey. They burned 3 of our colonies in the first week. Taman's voice grew cold. So we responded. We developed weapons they could not imagine. We built ships they could not match. We pushed into their space and broke their fleets one by one. In the end, our soldiers stood in their capital. Their emperor was on his knees, crying, pleading for us to stop. Why did we? Asked a young councilwoman, her voice barely above a whisper. Because our leaders looked at what we had become. We were so good at killing that it scared us. So we offered mercy. We signed the treaty. We buried our weapons in deep vaults. We told our children that the war was a draw, that violence solves nothing, that peace is always the answer. Taman turned to face the council. We called it the long sleep. We chose to forget how to be monsters. He pressed a button on the wall. A section of the floor opened, and a platform rose. On it was a metal box, sealed with locks that needed DNA, voice recognition, and codes known only to the president. But we always knew this day might come, Taman said. So we left instructions. Just in case. He opened the box. Inside was a single data chip. This contains the location of Vault Omega. Everything we buried. Everything we swore never to use again. He looked at each council member. General Yuna Bake dedicated her life to making sure we never needed this. She believed in peace. She died for it. Taman placed the chip on the table. Now I need to choose her replacement. Someone who can do what she never wanted to do. Someone who can wake us up. The door opened. A woman walked in. She was 45 years old, with short black hair, and a face that showed no emotion. Her uniform was simple, without medals or decorations. Her eyes were like 2 pieces of dark ice. Commander Sora Han, Taman said. General Yuna's best student, the finest tactical mind in human history. Also the coldest. Sora stopped at the table and saluted. Mr. President. Commander, do you know why you are here? Yes, sir. You want me to take General Yuna's position. More than that. I want you to open Vault Omega. I want you to wake the sleeping ships. I want you to remind the galaxy why they feared us. Sora's expression did not change. General Yuna believed in peace. General Yuna is dead. Shot like a dog in front of the universe. I know. I watched it happen. For just a moment, something flickered in Sora's eyes. Pain, maybe. Or rage. Then it was gone. What are your orders, sir? Taman slid the data chip toward her. Show them. Show them all. Show them what happens when you kill one of ours. Sora picked up the chip. She turned and walked to the door. Then she stopped. Mr. President, I want Captain Do-Hun Shin assigned to my command. The man who caught her when she fell? Why? Because he was holding her when she died. He heard her last words. He has a reason to fight that goes beyond duty. Sora looked back. And because I will need someone to remind me when to stop. I am very good at war, sir. I am not good at knowing when enough is enough. Taemin nodded. Granted. Captain Shin will report to you immediately. Sora left. The council sat in heavy silence. Finally, Admiral Byung-ho spoke. What exactly is in Vault Omega? President Taemin sat back down. He suddenly looked very old. 12,000 warships. Technology we have not used in 9 centuries. Weapons that make plasma guns look like toys. He closed his eyes. The Vrithani think they are the greatest military power in the galaxy. They think we are soft farmers who forgot how to fight. He opened his eyes. They are about to learn that we did not forget. We chose not to remember. There is a difference. 3 days later, Commander Sora Han stood in a vast underground chamber. Captain Do-hun Shin stood beside her, still wearing the same uniform he had worn on Varus 4. He had refused to wash off the bloodstains. Before them stretched rows and rows of ships, massive vessels covered in dust. Ancient designs that looked both primitive and terrifying. Each ship was dark, waiting, sleeping. 12,000, Do-hun said quietly. I never knew. No one did, Sora replied. That was the point. Our ancestors wanted us to forget. They wanted peace so badly that they erased their own strength from history. She walked to a control panel at the center of the chamber. It was covered in warnings. Authorized personnel. Only. Use only in extinction-level emergency. The long sleep must not be broken lightly. Sora placed her hand on the scanner. Her voice was calm. Authorization. Commander Sora Han. Code. Yuna's wake. The machines accepted her command. Lights began to flicker. Deep within the chamber, engines started to hum. One by one, the ancient warships began to glow. On the control panel, words appeared. An old message. Left by the founders 900 years ago. If they wake you, show them why we slept. Sora read the words. Then she looked at Do-hun. She told you to tell them something, Sora said. Before she died. What was it? Do-hun's jaw tightened. She said to tell them we remember. Sora nodded slowly. Around them, the ships continued to wake. Metal groaned. Systems powered up. Dust fell from hulls that had not moved in centuries. Then that is what we will do, Sora said. We will remember. And we will make sure the galaxy never forgets again. She pressed another button. Across Earth. Across every human colony. The same message appeared on every screen. No words. Just a single image. The video of Admiral Krix shooting General Yuna. Played in silence. Shown to every human alive. Followed by 3 words. We remember everything. The long sleep was over. Humanity was awake. And the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. Lieutenant Hajun Kwan had always dreamed of flying among the stars. He grew up on a farming colony called New Busan, a peaceful world where the biggest excitement was the yearly harvest festival. His parents grew rice in fields that stretched to the horizon. His grandparents told stories of old Earth. No one in his family had been a soldier in generations, but when Ha-jun was 18, he left the farm and joined the Terran Defense Force. Not because he wanted to fight. There had been no real fighting in his lifetime. He joined because he wanted to see the galaxy. He wanted to pilot ships through the Black Sea of space. He wanted adventure. Now he was 26, and he stood in a training facility that had not been used in over 100 years. Around him, thousands of other young pilots stood in perfect lines. Their uniforms were new, their faces uncertain. They had all received the same message 3 weeks ago. Report to Facility 7 for advanced training. None of them knew what that meant until today. Commander Sora Han walked onto the stage at the front of the room. Her voice echoed through speakers, cold and clear. You have all seen the video, she began. You have all seen what the Vrithani did to General Yuna Baek. Some of you cried. Some of you felt rage. Some of you felt helpless. She paused. That helplessness ends today. You are here because you are the best pilots in human space. You scored highest on every test. You showed natural talent that cannot be taught. And now, you will learn things that your parents never knew. Things that humanity buried long ago. Behind her, a massive screen flickered to life. It showed the ancient warships from Vault Omega, now fully powered, floating in hidden docks around Earth's moon. These are the ships your great-great-grandparents flew, Sora continued. 900 years ago, they used these vessels to break the Vrithani Empire. The designs are old, but we have spent the last month upgrading them with modern systems. They are faster now, stronger, more deadly. Hajun stared at the screen. The ships did not look like anything he had seen before. They were angular, aggressive, covered in weapons. They looked like predators made of metal. You will learn to fly them, Sora said. You will learn to fight in ways the Academy never taught you. The Vrithani believe we are soft. They believe we have forgotten how to be warriors. Her eyes swept across the crowd. You will prove them wrong. Training began the next day. It was brutal. Hajun had thought he was a good pilot. He quickly learned that he knew nothing. The instructors were old. Some of them pulled from retirement. They had trained on simulators based on the ancient ships, keeping the knowledge alive just in case. They pushed the young pilots beyond their limits. They taught them maneuvers that seemed impossible. They taught them to think like predators. The Vrithani fly in formation, one instructor told Hajun's squadron. They follow patterns. They rely on numbers. They are disciplined, but they are predictable. Humans do not fly like that. We are chaos. We are unpredictable. We fight like wolves, not like ants. Hajun trained for 18 hours a day. He slept in his cockpit. He ate meal bars that tasted like cardboard. His hands cramped from gripping controls. His eyes burned from staring at screens. But slowly, he got better. They all did. Meanwhile, across all 200 human colony worlds, something remarkable was happening. Factories that had built farming equipment for centuries began to change. Workers who had never touched a weapon found themselves building warships. Engineers who designed irrigation systems now designed targeting computers. Scientists who studied plants now developed new armor plating. The transformation was not forced. No laws were passed. No orders were given. Humans simply looked at the video of their general dying, and they decided, together, that this would not stand. On New Busan, Hajun's own parents converted their farm. His mother, who had never raised her voice in her life, now supervised the construction of missile components. His father, who had cried when harvesting crops because he felt bad for the plants, now tested explosive payloads. We are farmers, his father wrote in a letter to Hajun. We grow things. We nurture life. But we also remember what our ancestors were before they were farmers. They were soldiers. They were wolves. And when someone kills one of our wolves, we do not cry. We hunt. The Vrithani watched this transformation with amusement. Their spies sent reports of human factories changing production. Their analysts noted the increased military activity. But they did not worry. Let them build their little ships, Admiral Crick said in a broadcast interview. His chest swelled with pride. He was a hero now, celebrated across the empire. They have been sleeping for 900 years. They have forgotten how to fight. Even if they build 1,000,000 ships, they will not know how to use them. The Vrithani public laughed. They made jokes about humans playing soldier. They created entertainment shows mocking human weakness. One popular comedy featured a human character who fainted at the sight of blood, but not everyone laughed. In the old libraries of the Vrithani homeworld, a few scholars researched the First War. They read accounts that had been buried for centuries. They found records of battles that the Empire had tried to forget. One scholar found a journal written by a Vrithani soldier who had fought against humans 900 years ago. The entry was short. They do not fight like other species. They do not surrender when beaten. They do not retreat when outnumbered. They become more dangerous as they lose. When you kill one of them, the others do not run. They come for you. They always come for you. I have fought many enemies in my life. Humans are the only ones that scare me. The scholar tried to publish this finding. No one would print it. The publishers said it was inappropriate, given the current celebration. On day 30 after General Yuna's death, something appeared at the edge of Vrithani space. It was a single human ship, small, unarmed. It simply sat there at the border, broadcasting one message on all frequencies: the long sleep is over. We are awake, and we are coming. Admiral Crix ordered a battle group to intercept the ship. 50 Vrithani warships surrounded the tiny human vessel. They demanded surrender. The human ship did not respond. Scan it, Crix ordered from his command ship. The scan results came back strange. The ship had no crew. It was empty. There was no pilot, no weapons, no supplies, just the broadcast equipment, and a single sealed container in the center of the ship. What is in the container? Crix demanded. Before anyone could answer, the container opened. Inside was a uniform, a white uniform, stained with old blood. The uniform General Yuna had worn when she died. A final message played from the ship's speakers. This belonged to the woman you murdered. She wore it for 50 years. She believed in peace. She shook your hands and called you partners. The message paused. We are sending it back. We do not need it anymore. Where we are going, we will wear black. Then the ship exploded, not attacked, self-destructed. The blast was small, harmless, but visible across the entire sector. The message was clear. We are not asking for justice. We are not negotiating. We are not afraid. We are coming. Back on the training facility, Hajun heard the news with his squadron. They had just finished their final qualification tests. They were officially combat ready. One of his squad mates, a woman named Minji, looked at him with uncertain eyes. Do you think we can really do this? Fight an entire empire? Hajun thought about his parents on New Busan. He thought about his grandmother, who used to tell him stories of ancient Earth warriors. He thought about General Yuna, dying on the floor, telling her aide to remember. 900 years ago, Hajun said slowly, our ancestors made the Vrithani emperor kneel. Then they gave him mercy. They buried their swords. They chose peace. He looked out the window at the stars. The Vrithani forgot that mercy. So now we will remind them what happens when we stop being merciful. His squadron nodded. They were young. They were scared. But they were human. And humans, as the galaxy was about to learn, never forgot. They just sometimes chose not to remember, until they were given a reason. 6 months after General Yuna Bake died on the floor of Varus IV, the human fleet emerged from fold space at the edge of Vrithani territory. The Korath Nebula glowed purple and gold behind them, making the ships look like shadows against fire. 12,000 warships. Each one ancient in design, but upgraded with modern technology. Each one carrying weapons the galaxy had not seen in 9 centuries. At the front flew the flagship, TDS Yuna Bake. Commander Sora Han stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back, her eyes fixed on the view screen. Captain Do-hun Shin stood beside her, his face hard as stone. Commander, said the communications officer, the Vrithani are hailing us. They demand we identify ourselves and state our intentions. Do not respond, Sora said quietly. Let them wonder. The Vrithani did not wonder for long. Within hours, their response came. Not words, ships, hundreds of thousands of ships, streaming from bases across the sector, forming the largest fleet in the Empire's history. 500,000 Vrithani warships against 12,000 human vessels. The odds seemed impossible. Admiral Crix commanded the Vrithani fleet from his personal carrier, the Dominion of Stars. He broadcast his message across all channels, making sure every species in the galaxy could hear. Humans, you have come far from your little blue planet to die. Look at your numbers. Look at ours. This is not a battle. This is an extermination. Surrender now, and I may show your survivors mercy. Commander Sora finally responded. Her voice was calm, almost bored. Admiral Crix, you shot an unarmed woman in the chest on live broadcast. You laughed while she bled. You called us livestock. She paused. We did not come here to surrender. We came here to answer you. Then you will die, Crix replied. Perhaps, Sora said. But not today. And not alone. The Battle of Korath Nebula began. Lieutenant Hajun Quan flew his fighter through the chaos, his squadron tight around him. Enemy ships filled his view screen, more than he could count. The Verthani came in perfect formation, thousands of vessels moving as one. All squadrons, Commander Sora's voice came through the comm. Begin Operation Broken Mirror. Show them what we brought. Hajun had trained for this. He had read the ancient manuals. He had learned tactics that humans had not used in 900 years. Now it was time to use them. The human fleet did not form lines. They did not fly in patterns. They scattered like drops of water, each ship moving independently, unpredictably. To the Vrithani targeting computers, it was chaos. Their weapons, designed to hit formation targets, suddenly had nothing to lock onto, and then the humans fired. Singularity torpedoes, weapons that created tiny black holes, existing for just seconds but pulling everything nearby into oblivion. The first wave of Vrithani ships simply vanished, crushed into points smaller than atoms, ghost drives. Human ships flickered and phased, passing through solid matter like ghosts. A Vrithani destroyer fired at a human cruiser. The shot went through the cruiser as if it was not there. Then the cruiser solidified inside the destroyer, tearing it apart from within. Resonance cannons. Beams that did not burn or cut but vibrated. They found the frequency of enemy hulls and shook them apart, turning warships into clouds of metal dust. The Verthani had never seen anything like it. Their formation broke. Their confidence shattered. Ships fled in all directions, crashing into each other in their panic. Hajun flew through the wreckage, his fighter weaving between dying enemy vessels. His squadron followed, picking off fleeing targets. He felt no joy in it. No glory. He only felt the cold focus that his training had built into him. Enemy carrier ahead, Minji's voice crackled in his ear. It is their command ship, the Dominion of Stars. Hajun looked at his targeting display. The carrier was huge, surrounded by escort ships. Admiral Crix was on that vessel. The man who had killed General Yuna. Squadron. On me, Hajun said. We are going in. They attacked the carrier in waves. Ghost drives let them phase through the escort screen. Resonance bursts disabled the carrier's engines. Singularity torpedoes tore holes in its armor, but they did not destroy it. Their orders were specific. Hajun, Commander Sora's voice came through the comm. Good work. Fall back. The carrier is crippled. Leave it. Ma'am? I know. But Admiral Crix needs to live. He needs to see what happens next. He needs to report to his emperor what he witnessed today. Hajun pulled his squadron back. Behind him, the Dominion of Stars drifted helplessly, a broken giant unable to run or fight. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Vrethani fleet was gone. Not defeated. Erased. Of 500,000 ships, fewer than 10,000 survived. They fled into deep space, too damaged and terrified to fight. The human fleet had lost 200 vessels. Admiral Crix watched from his crippled carrier as the humans flew past him. He expected them to fire, to finish the job. Instead, they ignored him, as if he was too small to bother with. On the bridge of the Yuna Beck, Commander Sora received reports from across the fleet. Minimal casualties, total victory. The path to the Vrithani core systems was open. Captain Dohun stood beside her, his face showing no satisfaction. What now? Now we move forward, Sora said. But not just for revenge. The Vrithani have conquered dozens of species over the centuries. Enslaved them. Exploited them. Those species still exist, still suffer under Vrithani rule. She turned to face Dohun. General Yuna believed in justice. She believed the strong should protect the weak. If we burn the empire to ash and leave their victims in chains, we are no better than them. So we liberate them, Dohun said. Yes, We show the galaxy that humans do not fight for conquest. We fight for freedom. Over the next months, the human fleet pushed deeper into Vrithani space. But they did not simply destroy. They freed. World after world, species after species. On a planet called Shira, they found the Kellerai people, gentle beings who had been forced to work in Vrithani mines for 300 years. When human ships appeared in their sky, the Kellerai elders gathered their young and prepared for another wave of oppression. Instead, human soldiers landed, opened the labor camps, and told the Kellerai they were free. The eldest Kellerai, a being so old her skin had turned silver, looked at the human commander with eyes full of tears. "Why?" she asked. "Why do you help us? What do you want in return?" The commander, a woman named Lieutenant Yunji Park, knelt before the elder. "Our ancestors fought your oppressors long ago. They could have freed you then. Instead, they signed a treaty and went home. They left you in chains because peace was easier than justice." Unji took the elder's hand. "We are here to correct that mistake. We want nothing in return. We only ask that you remember this day." The elder trembled. "We already remember. We have stories of humans from the old war. Our grandparents' told them. They said that when the humans came the first time, they fought like demons, but showed mercy like angels." She looked at the sky, where human ships patrolled. "They said if we ever saw humans again, we should pray. Because humans only return when they are very, very angry." The stories spread across the galaxy. Species that had lived under Vrethani rule for generations saw humans not as invaders, but as saviors. The Empire's grip weakened. Rebellion sparked on 100 worlds, and at the center of it all, Commander Sora pushed forward. Her eyes were fixed on one target: the Vrithani homeworld, the heart of the Empire, the place where everything would end. Captain Dohun found her alone on the observation deck one night, staring at the stars. "You have not slept in 3 days," he said. "I will sleep when this is over. Sora," he rarely used her first name, "General Yuna would not want you to destroy yourself." Sora was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice softer than usual. "When I was 20, Yuna took me as her student. I was angry then. I wanted to fight, to prove myself, to crush our enemies. She taught me patience. She taught me that true strength is knowing when not to use force." She turned to face Dohun. "I loved her. She was the mother I never had, and they shot her like she was nothing." Dohun nodded slowly. He understood. "So yes," Sora continued, "I am tired. I am angry. I am afraid of what I might become. That is why I need you, Dohun. You were there when she died. You carry her last words. When this is over, when the Vrithani are broken, I will need someone to tell me to stop." "I will," Dohun promised. Sora looked back at the stars. "Good, because we reach their homeworld in 2 days, and then the galaxy will see what humans do when we run out of mercy." The Vrithani homeworld was called Vreth Prime. It hung in space like a dark jewel, covered in massive cities and ancient temples. For 900 years, it had been the center of the greatest empire in the galaxy. Its people had grown fat and proud, believing themselves untouchable. Now 12,000 human warships surrounded it, blocking out the stars. Commander Sora Han stood on the bridge of the Yuna Bake, watching the planet rotate slowly beneath her. The Vrithani defense fleet was gone, destroyed or scattered across the galaxy. Only orbital stations remained, their weapons pointed at the human fleet but not firing. "They know they cannot win," Captain Dohun said quietly. "They have known for months," Sora replied. "They simply refuse to believe it." The communications officer spoke up. "Commander, the Vrithani Emperor is requesting communication. He wishes to negotiate." Sora's expression did not change. "Put him through." The view screen flickered, and the image of Emperor Torvax appeared. He looked old now, older than he had at the peace ceremony. His shell was cracked, his forearms hung limp at his sides, and his black eyes held something they had never held before: fear. "Commander Han," the Emperor said, his translator clicking rapidly. I ask for peace. Name your terms. Whatever you want. We will give it. Territories. Resources. Reparations. Anything. Anything? Sora asked. Yes. Anything to end this war. Sora was silent for a long moment. Behind her, the bridge crew waited. There are 3 conditions, she finally said. First, Admiral Crix will be surrendered to us immediately. He murdered our general. He will face justice. The Emperor hesitated. Admiral Crix is a hero to our people. Surrendering him would cause unrest. Admiral Crix is a hero. He is a murderer. Your people's feelings are not our concern. The Emperor's shell rattled, a sign of distress. Very well, he will be surrendered. Second condition. The Vrethani Empire will be dissolved. Every conquered species will be given independence. Every slave will be freed. Every territory stolen over the past 9 centuries will be returned. Dissolved? The Emperor's voice rose. This empire has existed for 2,000 years. You cannot simply— Third condition, Sora interrupted. You will broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. You will admit that you broke the peace treaty. You will admit that Admiral Crix acted with your knowledge. And you will tell the galaxy what really happened 900 years ago. How your ancestors attacked us. How we defeated you. How you begged for mercy. The Emperor trembled. That is not history. That is not what happened. That is exactly what happened. Your people buried the truth because it shamed them. Now, you will unbury it. And if I refuse? Sora turned to her weapons officer. Target the Emperor's ancestral moon, the one they worship as holy ground. Wait! The Emperor raised his hands. That moon has existed for 10,000 years. It is sacred to our religion. You cannot. I can. I will. And if you refuse my terms, I will do much worse. Her voice was ice. You shot our general. You laughed at us. You called us livestock. You thought we were weak because we chose peace. Now you will learn the difference between weakness and mercy. We gave you mercy 900 years ago. We will not give it again. She nodded to the weapons officer. Fire. A single resonance cannon bolt shot from the Unabake. It crossed the distance in seconds and struck the ancient moon. The vibration spread through the rock, finding its resonant frequency, amplifying until the entire moon cracked like an egg. Pieces of the sacred moon drifted apart. Temples that had stood for millennia crumbled into dust. Across Vreth Prime, billions of Vrethani watched their holiest site destroyed in moments. The Emperor collapsed to his knees, his translator clicking wordlessly. That was your only warning, Sora said. You have 1 hour. Accept all conditions, or the next shot hits your capital city. And I will not stop there. She ended the communication. The bridge was silent. Dohun stepped closer to Sora, his voice low. That was the moon. A sacred place. I know. Sora's voice was tight. I know what I just did. But I remembered what you told me. General Yuna's last words. She said to tell them, we remember. She turned to face Dohun. We remember the peace. We remember the hope. We remember that she shook their hands and called them partners. And we remember that they shot her anyway. Her eyes glistened. But no tears fell. I am not destroying that moon for revenge, Dohun. I am destroying it so they understand. So they never forget again. Dohun looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. She would not have liked it. No. But she is gone. Far below, on Vreth Prime, chaos spread through the Imperial Palace. Advisors screamed at each other. Military commanders demanded counterattacks that everyone knew were impossible. And at the center of it all, Admiral Crix sat in a cell, waiting for the justice that was coming. The Emperor had no choice. Within the hour, he broadcast his surrender across all channels, every word that Sora demanded. The truth about the First War, the admission of guilt, the dissolution of the Empire. Across the galaxy, species that had lived under Vrethani boots watched in stunned silence. The mighty empire, the power that had ruled them for generations, was falling apart in a single day. And in the shadows of the imperial palace, Captain Do-hun Shin was already moving. He had volunteered for this mission weeks ago. While the fleet surrounded the planet, he had infiltrated the capital, moving through old tunnels and forgotten passages. Now he stood outside Admiral Crix's cell, his weapon drawn. 2 Vrethani guards lay unconscious behind him. The security systems were disabled. There was nothing between Do-hun and the man who had killed General Yuna. He opened the cell door. Crix looked up. His red chest markings had faded. His forearms were thin from weeks of imprisonment. But his eyes still held that cold arrogance. "A human," Crix said. "Come to execute me? I expected someone more important." "I was there," Do-hun said quietly. "On Varus 4. I was standing behind her when you shot her. I caught her when she fell. I held her while she died." Crix laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Then you should thank me. I freed you from that weak old woman. She believed in peace with species that are not your equals. She was a fool." Do-hun put away his weapon. Crix watched, confused. "What are you doing? Are you not here to kill me?" "I am." Do-hun rolled up his sleeves. "But not with a weapon. You shot an unarmed woman. You did it from behind. You did it on broadcast to humiliate us." He stepped into the cell. "I am going to kill you with my hands, the old human way, and I am going to take a very long time doing it." Crix tried to stand, tried to fight, but Do-hun was faster, stronger, more determined. The fight lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, Admiral Crix, the hero of the Vrethani Empire, the man who had murdered General Yuna Bake, lay broken on the floor of his cell. Do-hun stood over him, breathing hard, his knuckles bloody. "That was for her," he said quietly. "And for every human who watched you laugh at her death." He walked out of the cell, without looking back. 1 week later, Commander Sora Han stood before the shattered Vrethani Senate. The building was ancient, covered in carvings of Vrethani conquests. Now it was surrounded by human soldiers. Billions watched the broadcast across the galaxy. 900 years ago, Sora began, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Your ancestors attacked us. They thought we were weak. They were wrong. We defeated them so completely that your emperor begged for mercy. And we gave it. We signed a treaty. We buried our weapons. We chose to forget how to be monsters." She paused, letting the words sink in. "We did this because we believed in peace. We believed you could change. We trusted you." Her voice hardened. General Yuna Bake dedicated her life to that trust. She came to Varus 4 with open hands and an open heart. She shook your hands. She called you partners. Sora's eyes swept across the assembled Vrethani. "You shot her like an animal." Silence filled the chamber. "So hear me now, and let every species in this galaxy hear me. We do not wish for war. We never did. But we remember how to wage it. And if you ever forget that again..." She pointed at the sky, where the shattered remains of the sacred moon still drifted. "We will not stop at moons. We will not stop at capitals. We will remind you why your ancestors begged." She turned and walked out of the chamber. The broadcast ended. The galaxy sat in stunned silence. 5 years later, the galaxy had changed. The Vrethani Empire was gone, broken into independent systems. Former slave species built their own governments. Trade routes opened between worlds that had never been free to trade before. Humanity returned to peace. But this time, they did not bury their ships. The vessels from Vault Omega stayed active, patrolling the borders, visible to all. Captain Hajun Kwan, now promoted for his service in the war, commanded a patrol ship on the new frontier. He visited the memorial on Varus 4 where General Yuna had fallen. Fresh flowers lay on the stone marker, left by visitors from 100 different species. Commander Sora Han retired to a quiet house on Earth. She spent her days in a garden, growing flowers, trying to find peace. Some nights, she still saw the moon cracking apart in her dreams. She did not regret her choices. but she carried their weight. Do-hun Shin stayed in service, training the next generation. He made sure they knew the truth. All of it. And across the galaxy, a new proverb spread among the stars. Parents told it to children. Teachers taught it in schools. Leaders whispered it in private councils. Let the humans sleep, for when they wake, even gods should run. On Varus 4, Hajun stood before General Yuna's memorial as the sun set over the ceremony grounds. He thought about the woman who had died here, who had believed in peace until her last breath. "We remember," he said quietly. Then he returned to his ship and flew back into the stars. The long sleep was truly over. Humanity was awake now, and they would never forget who they were again. But they also remembered something else. Something General Yuna had taught, even in death. Strength without mercy is cruelty. Victory without justice is tyranny. Power without kindness is destruction. They had shown the galaxy their wrath. Now they would show them something harder. They would show them how to build peace that lasted. And maybe, in another 900 years, the galaxy would finally understand what it meant to be human. Not monsters. Not saints. Just people who remembered everything and chose, every day, what kind of species they wanted to be.